Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of Around the Campus, featuring the Engineering and Management Department. And today we're visited by Gulshan Madraki to cover mathematical modeling and its real-world applications, including social media.
Yeah, altogether, really enjoyed having Gulshan on today. It was honestly a ton of fun, super insightful, really knowledgeable about the subject. What do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. She was super duper knowledgeable, had lots to say, found all the stuff about social media and mathematical modeling really insightful. Just enjoyed being able to hear about someone who really loves their field and applied it in an interesting way.
Yeah, you could really tell that she loved it a lot.
Yeah, it was a real passion of hers.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we hope you guys enjoy this episode too. This is the Ignite Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Clarkson Ignite podcast. My name's Alexander Kupin, and I'm joined here by Jonathan Shelton and our wonderful Professor Madraki. She is a professor in the E&M department, and she's been working on plethora of different projects, and we're really excited to have her on and talk about all the cool things that she's been in. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
Hi everyone, that's so exciting joining you. Thank you for inviting me, guys. So my name is Gulshan Madraki. So I joined Clarkson in 2017. I'm originally from Iran, and I did my PhD in Ohio University in Athens, beautiful Athens, Ohio. And I joined Clarkson 4 years ago. Since then, I was working on different research projects, and I teach different courses, including project management and system engineering.
Yeah, I actually love Athens. It's a really cool place. I've been. I like Ohio. It's nice.
It's nice,
Yeah, definitely. So what has gotten you kind of interested in math and modeling and all this very cool research that you've been doing?
Sure. So my bachelor and my master was in industrial management, which is pretty close to engineering and management program that we have at Clarkson. So after that, I got admission from Ohio University for PhD in industrial engineering. My advisor, Dr. Robert Judd, was technically electrical and system engineering professor at the time, but he was the department chair of industrial engineering. So his rich background in computer science, mathematical modeling, and also more engineering sides of the program helped me to actually get more interested into mathematical modeling, algorithm, and graph theory.
When was kind of the turning point where you realized, like, this is really what I want to do? Like, was there a moment of like pure inspiration that you had?
Yes, honestly. So I'm always looking at doing stuff in the best way that is possible. So, and mathematical modeling is about optimization, but obviously there are some constraints. So, for example, when you go shopping, right, grocery shopping, you want to get things done as soon as possible,
right,
in budget, right? So I was always think that, okay, so how all these factors come to each other. Also, like in the flights, when you have like tons of scheduling and how they are doing this. I remember I took a course when I was undergraduate student, and it was operations research. And the base of this operations research is the basics for mathematical modeling, like maximum, minimum, subject to different constraints. I remember I was in grocery shopping. I was doing grocery shopping, and I realized that, oh my God, all of these have some applications. And yeah, that was a moment that actually hit me. And I think, since then I'm huge fan.
The only inspiration I get from going to the grocery store is what to eat next. So
yeah, it's snack foods and candy. It's bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I know your research currently is really interesting. It's about the different ways you can categorize and classify social media posts and things like that. Well, so why don't you get into a little bit about what you're doing?
Oh, sure. So, honestly, it's not about like analyzing the post. It's more than analyzing the network overall, not just post. We realize that there are so social media is a huge deal nowadays, right? So everybody, I think it's the first thing that most of us is doing is to checking some of the social media's platform right away while we waking up, and we get our news from social media. We get our social life nowadays because of COVID from social media, and some people play games, and so everybody got the impacts, huge impacts on social media on our lives. So we realized that graph theory is a really cool model that can express and describe this network, this complicated network. So that being said, we want to understand the dynamic of the social media by defining them as a graph theory. For example, each node in this network represents one user, and all the edges in these complicated networks refers to the connection between users, followers and following. Now, imagine like a sub network, right? Network of students at Clarkson University, how they are connected to each other. All seniors are more connected, or no, professors versus students. So if you can come up with a modeling approach that can actually describe these dynamics of the system, of the network, then you can go further and you can actually get access to, you can predict, you can get access to more information from this network. And you can also diagnose some disease in this social media. For example, polarization.
Yeah, I know in graph theory, what it kind of sounds like is you're making these like clusters, almost like getting like these data clusters of different users and kind of throwing them into their own categories.
That's right, based on who follows whom, and based on the post. And also there are some techniques that you can tell based on the text, analysis from the post. You can tell how this cluster can be created, can be actually distinguished from each other's on this nested network.
That's
so
pretty
if you
cool.
had to explain it in like layman's term, how would you go about explaining how the nuts and bolts that you went about to obtain this information and do your research?
Do you mind if you elaborate on the question?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you were going into this research, just in your like loose ideas, what were you thinking? Like, how can I set this up? How can I use this information that I've been given, and how can I get useful data? What was like the broad bird's eye view of how you thought to connect it all together?
All right. So the first thing we did was that so we were talking to some of the colleagues about what happened to misinformation. So what weird things we have heard about COVID misinformation related. So it was like 2019 that I started this branch of research. So it's pretty new to me as well, but I'm exploring. I already published 2 papers. I'm publishing 2 more. So 2 more are coming.
Congratulations.
But, thank you so much. So, but I am actually telling you the backstory. What happened that it started. We were talking to my colleagues. One of the colleagues were from China. The other colleagues was from United States.
Right.
So we were talking about like a casual conversation about what weird stuff we have heard about COVID. Then we realized that, wow, how different are these things that we get from our social media feeds? Because in Iran, so I'm from Iran. In Iran, WhatsApp is very popular. But Facebook, Twitters are banned by the government. In China, Weibo and WeChat are really popular, and the rest of the common social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, are banned by the government. So most of the Chinese social media are in Chinese, so you cannot find like English. People post in Chinese more. So that being said, makes the environment and landscape of these social media's platform very different. We realized that, okay, that could be a really cool idea, cool topics for research. So we started doing an experiment by collecting data manually. You wouldn't believe it, but we were a team of 8 people, so we are working with undergraduate student and graduate student in our team, and we started to collect data. We take advantage of our very diverse team. We had people from 3 continents, 4 countries speaking 6 different languages, so we started to collect data manually. That being said, we collected from 7 platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Weibo, WeChat, and what else? So one more. Anyway, so 6 platforms, and then we start to collect data from about COVID-19 misinformation. Then we realized that, okay, so some of these are not even misinformation. We don't know. So we decided to focus on the debunked misinformation, the misinformation that has been passed through some fact-checking process, like verified fact-checking process. So that was just, one case study paper that we came up with. And then we realized that, okay, so it's not possible if we want to extend this research. So we are working on API to pull data automatically using some code and, AI, machine learning to get this information. So this information could be post, number of followers, number of followings, the joint date to each of these platforms. So yeah, we can do tons of analysis over these data, these big data.
Yeah, that's amazing. Was it sort of similar? I know you did research in the past on manufacturing and how you can improve efficiency. Was that sort of similar to that, or is that kind of a different process?
I would say it's different, but we are using...
I feel like it's pretty different.
Yeah, it is admittedly pretty different, but I know graph theory can be applied to both. So
exactly.
What is how did you go about the differences between large social media data to making a manufacturing line run better?
Sure. So that's actually a really good question. So when I want to describe my background in research, I always said I'm expert in graph theory and algorithm. And I apply it in 2 different branches, one in manufacturing, one in social media.
Absolutely.
So I already talked about the social media branch. Now let's talk about the manufacturing branch. So all manufacturing systems that we are working on, like flow shop, job shop, there are some products or some jobs that needs to be processed by some machines. So you can imagine that we can have a network of jobs that are going through all these machines to be processed and get out, right? So this system can be also described by graph theory, by a network. Still, so the process of one job on one machine is called operation. So each operation is represented by nodes, and the connection between nodes are represented the orders of the jobs or the process of the jobs that going through all these machines.
And they have a certain like cost associated with each transition, right?
It could be different measurement. Cost is one of them. The other one is the processing time. Cost.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
apply-
Some utility.
Exactly.
Optimizing for cost and time and
Yeah.
production.
That's right, guys. Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
Very, very cool.
Yes.
Do you see anything new coming in that area? I know AI and a bunch of other very scary technologies from the general public's view where it's not easily understandable.
Yeah.
Do you see anything from those areas starting to enter manufacturing, or do you just in general see a direction where manufacturing is going from your perspective?
I know a lot of people are really scared actually about deep learning and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
actually a lot. It's a lot safer than people think, and it's very misunderstood. It's very math driven, whereas people think it's, oh, you're literally creating some other worldly brain that's gonna go run off
Yeah.
and then do whatever.
Absolutely.
But for the most part, it just, deep learning and machine learning in general just are mathematical models, just like in graph theory,
Yeah.
that you can use to train on certain data in order to get an outcome.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
What you were saying earlier about how you and a colleague from a different social media platform or the same social media platform seeing two completely different sides of that. It is really interesting to see how like different social spheres see completely different news feeds on their like social media, and it's even gotten to a point where you have these like subspaces within a social media platform. So
Echo
like
chambers would be the word, I believe.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I really, really would like to see that research going forward, and because I want to know how different social media feels like, and like what it is in, let's say, like in China's social network versus like Facebook or something like that, because it has to be way different.
Do you also see that sort of thing like in business, with different businesses being sort of shuttled to different people groups?
Absolutely. For example, the word influencers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we didn't have it even
Yeah.
like in 10 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Nowadays, businesses focusing their marketing approach using social media, using these influencers, rather than, making ad, using television kind of promotions, ad. So that means, actually, that proves the impacts of social media. That proves that the trend the trend is using social media. And more than 1 million person in the world has more than 1 million followers.
Wow.
With 1 million followers on just Instagram, you can have a really comfortable life financially.
Mm-hmm.
So these numbers are very meaningful. I'm saying that the future of the world, future of the research, and future of the industry has something to do with definitely impacts of social media, either directly related to social media or get the huge impact from social media, even if it is like a product or tangible products.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that is a lot to think about. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of dangers in social media too, which is, I mean, it's unfortunate. We see a lot of like mentally health problems associated with it.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see.
Yeah. Do you see like companies using AI and graph theory and other advanced models to help combat problems that they see on their site, whether that be too much echo chambers, or they want to improve their response to ads, or other behaviors like, hey, this person seems to be just incessantly on our site. Do they want to promote that? Do they not want to promote that? What's like your opinion since you've spent so much time in this field? What do you get like the general direction that these industries want to like move in?
Of course. So I noticed that I'm talking about like before Twitters and Facebook banned some users because of the echo chambers, because of polarization, because of extreme point of views, right? So before that, everybody believes that, okay, so we have a freedom of a speech. Social media platforms provide easy access platform for all users to get access to audiences and, freely talk their mind to them. Now, based on recent projections, people realize that we need some sort of control. So obviously, based on our observations from Chinese social media with like huge government restrictions, and considering Iran as having government restrictions, and U.S. with no restrictions, we realize that some level of control would be good in terms of would be beneficial for users in terms of helping like misinformation, avoiding misinformation, disinformation. On the other hand, the control level that not silencing the voice of the countries, that the voice of the peoples that needed for take countries accountable for their actions.
Yeah, that's definitely a balance that you got to find, because there is a point where it's like, because if you search on Google, like any famous celebrity, like, you know how people will be like, oh, so-and-so, some celebrity died, it's so sad, and then you search it and then it's not true at all. But if you search any celebrity's name on Google, you'll see death right next to their name, and it's just like, what do you mean? Like, you can't, like... There's definitely, like, those random posts that, like, people just push out because they want attention, things like that.
That's true.
Yeah. Moving into another direction, you are currently teaching a really interesting class about system design. And how do students get involved in that? And what's the kind of the course and the curriculum you're doing for that?
Thank you for bringing it up. That's actually one of my favorite part of being a professor. Teaching is my passion, and I'm so blessed and lucky to have this job, because it's my dream job. So, yes, project management and system engineering are two courses that currently I'm teaching at Clarkson. And during the fall, I'm teaching system engineering. So part of the system engineering is design. So we started with design and the concepts related to design. So the course could be offered in different versions. So for example, in computer science, there is a course, 3-credit course as a system engineering, but it's absolutely different from what we are teaching in School of Business. So we incorporate some aspects of management, like financial aspects of the systems, and so on. So back to your question about the design. So we have a design challenge at the beginning of the semester, like a 1/3 after passing like 3-4 weeks of the semester, we have a design challenge. And we are actually using a very cool room in the School of Business, like a second floor of a Snell. There is a
the studio.
Yeah.
We love the
Tons
studio.
of materials and, even Legos, whatever, name it. Just whatever facility and equipment that you want, there are around you, and people and students are allowed to use everything in that room to design a system. So every semester I come up with some new systems, or sometimes I'm using the same systems, but people surprise me with their creativity, how innovative are our students by coming up with different models. So we are practicing modeling, and we are practicing actually creativity, innovation, and also all the techniques and concepts from design, including design-dependent parameters, design-independent parameters, and technical performance measure for each of these parameters.
That's amazing.
So what does a student's role in the class look like from start to finish?
Oh, sure. So, are you talking about just the design part, or yeah? So they are in charge of making a model for a system. So I gave them some details about a system. So I will be their customers at the time, and they will be system engineering.
Nice.
System engineers, sorry, and they need to actually make the system for me. So, for example, this semester we used a water system. So I was a customer. I need water system for my house. I have two water consumption center, let's say kitchen and bathroom. So there is a water source located 50 feet away from my house, and the student needs need to make some assumption and come up with the parameters and design parameters and make the model using every single materials that they have access to.
Do you see new innovations coming into that area? Is there a certain technique that you'd like to foster in your students that you would like to share so everybody could maybe try to think in that mindset?
Of course, I'm saying that everything around us could be a system, and systematic thinking is a very important paradigm in our current life. What does that mean? It means that always think about a system as a part of the larger system. So let's say in this room can be a part of the larger system, which is this building, or could be a part of the media, like a media system overall. So when you look at this, you have a better holistic approach, and then you can come up with the consequences of your decisions. What considerations do you need to make in order to design a system more efficiently when you have a systematic thinking?
So really detail-oriented mindset.
Yeah.
While you're thinking holistically. So details versus, top-down and bottom-up approach.
Absolutely. If I was someone just brand new to this style of thinking, where would I go to start to find out more about it?
So obviously internet. Internet.
We love YouTube.
There are tons of good papers, academic papers on Google Scholar about system engineering. So one cool idea about system engineering is that all system has 4 major elements: input, process, output, and feedback or control. So depends on what area you want to focus. You can search tons of good materials on internet on one of these elements of the system. But process obviously has a whole world of the system.
These courses definitely, I think, are incredibly beneficial for students.
Yes, absolutely.
I think there needs to be more. Courses where they actually go through the full design process, because when you get out into the real world, it's not like school at all. You gotta make sure your clients are also satisfied and they're updated with the current stuff as well, which is very important.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of practical application of this in the career as very directly? There's some fields that are very necessary but don't always get used all the time when you're in the professional workforce. Is this something that you would think is more towards, yeah, I'm going to use this every day, or this is something that I really need to understand for me to be able to do the work that I do every day?
I think it is something that you need it every day. Why? Because, as I said, everything around us is a system.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, so in the system engineering, we have a chapters talking about economic aspects of the system. We talk about design. We talk about optimization of the system. Because when it comes to system, you have different alternatives, and you need to make a decision. So decision-making tools and techniques, right? So, for example, multi-criteria decision-making tools and multi-criteria decision analytics are absolutely necessary for every day of our lives. Also, I said input, process, output. So how this works based on some queuing theory. So we have one chapter talking about queuing theory, and that's something that next time when you are in Walmart, you will say, okay, which checkout line should I join because I want to optimize the waiting time. I want to minimize the waiting time. So as you can see, tons of cool stuff that there are tons of application about that will be covered by this course and by these actually topics.
And what is that course again? The name?
EM 482, System Engineering and Management.
Okay.
That's
Amazing.
exactly.
Sweet. I'm glad.
You mentioned that you also taught project management. Would you care to tell us a little bit about that as well?
Oh, sure. That's another must to take a course, at least to me, because first off, that's open to everybody across campus. So it's not just for engineering and management students. So the code is EMOM 380. So I have a student from civil engineering, I have a student from science, and obviously from School of Business. So in this course, we will go over scheduling and budgeting, which is
critical skills.
critical skills for
Very critical.
everybody, regardless. So also we are going to talk about how represents our project. So we are using network and graph theory to actually model our projects,
of course.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's really amazing. That sounds like a course that we should be on everybody's list, especially if they want to maybe own their own business or go into management or anything where they might have to deal with more than just the nuts and bolts of a project.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs at Clarkson that definitely should be taking that class.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for actually promoting this.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are absolutely important courses.
Yeah. And then you also talked about your research group in general, and you have a lot of different diversity there. How did those students, how do you recommend them finding these research opportunities and kind of getting themselves out there into, talking to professors about their research and kind of getting involved in that?
So I'm super lucky to be in an interdisciplinary program that we had chance to collaborate with other colleagues and other students even from other majors. So before I answer your question, I want to thank my best colleagues who helped me with the recent projects, especially the misinformation and polarization research. Dr. Gina Matthews from Computer Science and Dr. Julio from Electrical and Computer Engineering Department, and also my awesome students, Jackie Otala.
We know her from Ignite. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. She works with us, so we know her.
We share an office, so her and I definitely have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Jackie is awesome, and she did her bachelor in engineering and management, and currently she is a master's student in engineering science. Jillian Curtis and Izzy Grasso. So Izzy is currently graduated. Jill is MBA student, and currently I'm working with Abby Matthews, and more students are joining us. Now back to your question. So don't be shy as a student. Go talk to your professors if you're interested in any topics, and just let them know that you are willing to get involved in any projects available. And it's not like you have to do something, not at all. So you can get involved, and if you were interested, you can proceed and you can move forward. If not, move on, approach next professors with the new topics, new ideas. And I'm saying that doing research open up new windows to you. Regardless if you want to go to grad school or if you want to go right away to job and industry, but it's definitely beneficial for you. It helps you to understand the applications, the real actually applications of what we've learned in class.
Yeah. I remember when I started doing research with Professor Sean and Natasha Banerjee. It was my freshman year, and then I published a paper with them, and it was a really interesting time. And ever since then, I've been thinking, and I'm like, oh, I could make a model for that, or I could build some software, I could create this in virtual environment, and I keep thinking about these things that I want to move forward with research. I was like, I can do the science myself now. Like I have these skills now to like move forward within the scientific process to do these things.
Absolutely.
It's definitely I think is a really, really important aspect of especially the Clarkson student life.
Yeah. Get involved.
Yeah.
It's what they're there for.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think we're almost at the end of our time here, and it was really, really wonderful, awesome experience having you on. I look forward to hearing more from you and talking to you later for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys, for inviting me. That's a great pleasure, and good luck. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.